related to the human development. Fear is related to the human development because it acts as a signal of danger or threat to trigger appropriate adaptive response. Fear also makes a human stronger because when you focus your fearful experience as source of your personal strength, it can help you learn strategies that can build resilience.
Fear can be learned through direct experience with a threat, but it can also be learned via social means such as verbal warnings or observing others. Acquired fear is at the root of a variety of mental disorders, among which phobias, generalized anxiety, the post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, and some forms of depression. Based on Elizabeth Phelps' research has shown that the expression of socially learned fears shares neural mechanisms with fears that have been acquired through direct experience.
Is there any possibility to detach from the fear? Yes, it is possible to detach from our fear. But first, we have to face our fear because avoiding fear will only prevent us from moving forward. We can also talk to professionals for seeing help. Be patient with ourselves, do whatever that makes us happy, and just go live a life.
Fear or anxiety result in the expression of a range of adaptive or defensive behaviors, which are aimed at escaping from the source of danger or motivational conflict. People fear change if they don't understand the reason for it, and then they resist it. Change causes uncertainty and means pushing people out of their comfort zones. However, much we might complain about them, it's our routines that make us feel secure.
How does responses and stimuli associated with fear? Responses and stimuli associated with fear is triggered releasing of stress hormone and sympathetic nervous system. Visual stimuli is quick processed by the thalamus and that information is passed to our amygdala. Amygdala activate and also mediate enhance of memory for specific events depends on the hippocampus. In short, the stimulus organism response theory states that there's a stimulus that triggers a response based on the internal feelings or behavior of an organism. The internal processing of stimulus can be conscious or unconscious. How does fear affect us psychologically? Fear affects us psychologically. It refers to the emotions and feelings. Fear can impair formation of the long-term memories and causes damage to certain part of the brain, such as the hippocampus, that can make it even difficult to regulate fear and can lead to a person anxious most of the time. And the impact of thinking and decision-making in negatively ways, leaving us susceptible to intense emotion and impulsive reaction.
Naturalistic observation: when psychologists observe children as they learn language naturally while they are interact with other children. The advantage of naturalistic observation is that it represents exactly what happens naturally. The primary disadvantage of naturalistic observation, however, is that it is not standardized and so variables cannot be isolated. Behaviorism emphasizes how people interact with their environment. Over time, this interaction, called stimuli, form particular behaviors. The process by which the behavior is formed is known as conditioning. William Wundt founded the first psychology laboratory in the world and carried out experiments that heavily influenced the field. He proposed that the human mind could be studied through controlled experiment with reproducible results. Also, Ivan Pavlov of classical conditioning. He conducted an experiment in which he paired the ringing bell with the arrival of food and measured the resulting salivary response in the dog subjects. Likewise, the experiment we saw in the video, the mind field experiment, where fear was learned through the purple sphere experiment. Oftentimes, fear can affect our social life. It arises with a threat of harm, either physical, emotional, or psychological, real or imagined. Traditionally, fear considered as negative emotion, but somehow fear actually serves as an important role in keeping us safe as it mobilizes us to cope with the potential danger.
How do you come to understand ourselves and our relationship with others? Is our social learning experience different from the way we learn about physical world? Everyone is dependent on one another. It is a survival instinct. Weak social relationship may lead to depression. You can achieve self-understanding by knowing also our weaknesses. According to Michael Stevens' documentary, The Scariest Thing, one of the innate human aversion is isolation. Understanding ourselves requires to understand every unique building blocks inside of us. Is the way we learn about social world distinct from the way we learn about physical world? Bandura is renowned for his social learning theory, which hold that conditioning, reinforcement, and punishment are the primary causes of learning, and majority of human behavior is picked up through imitation, modeling, and observation. Humans are sociable creatures, and social learning abilities promote positive relationship with others, which is beneficial to our health. Can social learning and observational learning contribute to the development of fear and phobias? What are some effective interventions for addressing these issues from a social cognitive perspective? According to Bandura's social cognitive theory of human functioning, self-belief is essential to human cognition, motivation, and conduct. The self-system that allows people to have some degree of control over their thoughts, feelings, and action is highlighted by social cognitive theory. The term social learning of fear describes how people learn to be afraid through social interaction like interacting, watching, and listening, due to the facts that it depends on knowledge that is shared socially. It offers a quicker and less dangerous technique to develop adaptive avoidance behavior of potential threatening event in the environment. Fear conditioning uses a comparable brain mechanism to fear and acquired indirect through social observation without a person having personally experienced the unpleasant event. The amygdala, when the subject observes someone being exposed to an aversive event and knows that some treatment awaits them, and when the subject is subsequently placed similar situation, was mobilized to this result confirm the central role of amygdala in the acquisition and expression of observational fear learning and validate the extension of cross-species model of fear conditioning to learning in human socio-cultural context. Indirectly acquired fear can be powerful as fear that comes from direct experience.